This is your Barbados Today News Update. General Secretary of the Barbados Labour Party, Dr. Jerome Walcott, has dismissed rumours that the island's oldest political party is having an internal leadership squabble. Speaking at the National Housing Corporation today, where all 30 candidates paid their deposits to contest the election, Dr. Walcott said the party is united behind its leader, Mia Mottley.
On Monday evening, the Prime Minister spoke to Barbados, and she gave the background to her thoughts and her thinking on why she had decided that it was time to have a general elections in Barbados. Since then, there have been a number of comments. We've heard that it is described by the opposition as being a panic because of COVID. It's been described as because we are disunited. And indeed, we've heard the leader of the opposition describe it as reckless. First of all, in terms of the parody about us not being united, clearly you can see that for yourself, that we are totally united and we are not disputing at this stage, and we are united behind one leader. We are not deciding who is to be president and who is to be political leader. We are clear. So I discard that.
Dr. Walcott also rubbished claims by the opposition leader Bishop Joseph Atherley that it was a reckless move on the part of the government to stage a general election in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Since March 2020, the world has been faced with a pandemic. There have been 4 phases. The initial phase, there's been Alpha, there's been Delta, and now there's Omicron, the 4th phase. This has happened globally. In this time, there have been elections held throughout the world, in the great United States of America, in the United Kingdom, in Canada. And in this region, we've had elections in Suriname, in St. Kitts, in St. Lucia, in Trinidad, in Jamaica, in the Bahamas. And indeed here in Barbados, we had a by-election last October. And all of these parties participated. And there was no talk about recklessness. They were out in their numbers. 1 year later, things are different. Then we had no vaccine. Now we have varieties of vaccines available. More than 65% of our population has been vaccinated. So obviously conditions have changed.
Meanwhile, leader of the Solutions Barbados, Grenville Phillips II, has joined forces with 3 opposition political parties to form an alliance to contest the upcoming general elections. Phillips told reporters at the National Housing Corporation today that he had submitted election deposits on behalf of 10 Solution Barbados candidates, and he expects the other parties to do the same before Monday's deadline.
We are going to have a coalition of 3 parties. We expect to have over 20 candidates, but we will be endorsing, we still have, because again, we're hoping that they're going to be 30, hopefully, but if they're not, we know we definitely will have about 22.
In other news this Friday, former parliamentarian Hamilton Lashley has been weighing in on reports that former government Senator Lucille Moore is offering her expertise as a campaign strategist for the Democratic Labour Party. On Thursday, the DLP General Secretary Derek Alling confirmed that Moore is assisting the party with strategic operations. Lashley told Barbados Today it's a major boost for the Dems.
And I could speak of her in that thoroughness in terms of organization and organizing a political campaign. She's absolutely astute, she's absolutely meticulous, and she is one person that is absolutely reliable. So with those 3 major components in play during any election, whether it's by-election or general election, she is a formidable opponent and a formidable person in place that could very well be the catalyst to determine the fluctuating fortunes of any political party. Of course, if the rumors are true, because up to date we haven't been hearing anything clearly from the Democratic Labour Party. But the fact is that it would have been a tremendous coup.
On the final shopping day before the close of this year, when Barbadians rush to do their last-minute shopping, essentially for those special outfits to attend All Year's Night events, it was a relatively mixed day in the city. There weren't bumper crowds, but some retailers told Barbados Today business was good during the holiday season.
I have to say pretty decent considering all the circumstances surrounding the COVID and stuff like that. We still been able to keep our head above water.
Okay. What have been some trends you've been noticing for the Christmas season? What have men been looking to buy mostly?
Well, again, this year it has not been as many suits as it used to be. It's been a lot of, more so the accessories, shirts, ties, socks, stuff like that. Yeah.
We haven't seen that influence of the type of, the real party goers and things like that. We haven't seen much of a trend yet, no change so far. But maybe slowly, there's a lot of tourists on the island. We had quite a few tourists also came in. And maybe in January, as things start to pick up, things should go better.
In other news this Friday, students will resume online classes when the new school term begins on Monday, January 10. Word of this from the Ministry of Education. In a statement, the ministry said, in light of Thursday's revelation from Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George, that the Omicron variant is in Barbados, the new proposed date for the phased return to face-to-face classes is Monday, January 24. The ministry said this is to allow further talks with the Ministry of Health to determine whether additional precautions must be taken for the safe reopening of school. The COVID-19 death toll moved to 262 following the deaths of 2 Barbadians today. A 58-year-old man who was partially vaccinated and a 93-year-old unvaccinated woman both died this morning at the Harrison Point Isolation Facility. Meanwhile, the island recorded 255 new cases, 113 males and 142 females, from the 1,372 tests conducted by the Barbados Santos Public Health Laboratory. Of these, 48 persons were under the age of 18 and 207 were 18 years and older. There were 151 people in isolation facilities and 996 in home isolation.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Hi, my name is Christian Paul. I'm the country manager of BCIC here in Barbados. When the COVID vaccine first came out, I thought it was an interesting and a potentially successful way for us to navigate our way out of the pandemic and a return to some state of normalcy. I took the vaccine because I have a young family. I want to make sure that they are safe and protected. I have friends, extended family, and obviously I work here with colleagues, so I thought it was a good way to help protect them and to keep them safe, as well as myself. I would encourage others to take the vaccine because I know that you can still transmit the disease even if you're vaccinated, but the chances of being severely ill or worse, dying, are significantly reduced.
Let's roll up our sleeves and get back to living.
To regional happenings in Jamaica, there were fears in the healthcare sector that workers will be under pressure for a third straight year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Experts are already suggesting that the case count is already higher than has been reported. We get more in this report from Television Jamaica.
As part of preparations for the new year, Jamaica is also bracing for the fury of the Omicron strain of COVID-19. Health experts are warning that the number of cases in Jamaica might be underreported as the country experiences a fourth wave of the virus.
That with the Omicron variant, there is even a higher incidence of underreporting because they found that it was very mild and people either knew that this is what they had and don't need to test, or people just denied that they had it because it was so mild and just never tested. But yes, it is underreported, no question about it.
There's also the issue of persons being tested for COVID-19 at unaccredited facilities and that those figures are not being disseminated to the health ministry.
Many are going to sites that are not accredited, and so those results will not be shared with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. They have no way of tracking those persons or and so that's causing quite a bit of trouble.
President of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, Dr. Mindy Fitzhenley, suggested that while COVID-19 hospitalizations have remained low so far, this is likely to change. And with the high transmissibility of the Omicron variant, she's worried that the mental and physical stresses doctors face will continue for a third year.
On the international front, although farewell celebrations to the pandemic year of 2021 were almost as muffled as those that ushered it in, news that the Omicron variant wave appeared to be starting to recede brought hope for a happier new year. We leave you with some of the spectacular fireworks from Australia as that country welcomed the new year.
Sydney was among the first to welcome 2022, and while most of the world was forced to scale back New Year's celebrations, Australia's most populous city went full swagger with a spectacular fireworks show that lit up the harbour. It was a rare sight, as splashy displays were called off at Paris's Arc de Triomphe, London's Trafalgar Square, and the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur. New York City still planned for the annual ball drop in Times Square, but with just 15,000 spectators instead of the usual 55,000, masked up, socially distanced, and with proof of vaccination in hand. Still, South Africa, first to raise the alarm about the fast-spreading Omicron variant and now first to declare its Omicron wave had crested, lifted its nighttime curfew just in time for New Year's Eve.
Spectacular fireworks indeed. From all of us here at Barbados Today, have a prosperous, healthy, and safe New Year. Be sure to join us again on Monday.